Hey everybody, it's Danny from Contentment with Simplicity, the YouTube channel and the blog, and I am going to talk today about 10 things that I have said no to in the last month. And I'm talking about this because I am personally on a journey myself of recognizing when I need to draw boundaries or when I need to say no to opportunities that are really good or really exciting or really wonderful in order to be able to focus on the things that I am really passionate about. And that would be in alignment with like my values and intentional living and being able to live in more of like a slower way with my kids and be present with them as much as possible and my husband and in our family culture. So I've said no to 10 things in the last month that I will tell you what they are specifically, but I've also categorized them. And even if the specific things don't relate to you personally, maybe the category will help you start to think about, oh, are there things that I have said yes to that I need to downsize and say no to? Or moving forward, when something comes up in this category, maybe I need to just pause and evaluate it before I say yes. I'm the kind of person that I get excited about future forward focused opportunities. And so for me, I tend to have more of a default answer of like, yeah, I think we could do that. My husband is not that way. He's more of the default answer of, no, I don't think we should do that unless he has a good reason to do it. And I'm trying to move a little bit more his direction. He has moved a lot more my direction since we got married, but I am trying to move a little bit more his direction and just approach life with that level of selectivity, because I as you know, as every mom knows, as every human knows, you only have 24 hours in a day. You only have 7 days in a week, and time is our most valuable asset. And when we say yes, 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 we end up by default saying no to other things that might have been more in alignment with our values and a better use of our time. My kids are coming back from checking the chickens, so there may be a little bit more noise in the background. Sorry about that. I'm gonna try to be quick because this is like I've tried to film this video multiple times. It's been a little bit ridiculous. We've been interrupted a lot. So here we go. 10 things I've said no to. 2 money-making opportunities. One was photographing a wedding, and the other was cleaning our landlord's home. They rent their house out on Airbnb when they are not here, and they're not here at the moment. So both of them would have been, at least a couple $100s. The photography gig, I don't do this professionally anymore. I used to do it as a business. Now I don't really want to spend all of my weekends photographing weddings and leaving my husband with the 4 kids to, make family memories on his own. So I don't do it regularly, but for people that I love and care about, I still enjoy picking up a camera, and getting paid to pick up a camera is always a perk. So that was an awesome opportunity, would have been for a lovely couple, but it just logistically, we're a single car family, me being at the wedding all day, my husband and the kids were supposed to be guests at the wedding venue was an hour and a half away from home. It just didn't make sense. So we thought about it. I thought about it for about 24 hours. My husband immediately was like, I don't think that you can do that, but you're welcome to try. And I thought about it for 24 hours and then realized, it's just not worth the stress of this. I was also preparing to doula. I was on call to doula for a family that week. And so it just didn't make sense. So I said no to that. I was there for the doulaing though. I had committed to that and I followed through with that. And then let's see. So I said no to photography and I said no to cleaning our landlord's house. I love cleaning our landlord's house. It's a beautiful home. It's, I've done it before, so I kind of know what I'm doing. It is a big job, but it's usually a job that I can do in the evening after I put the kids to bed. I can go out for a couple hours, or I can, because they live near to us, or I can go in the morning while Gabe's with the kids. So it's not like a super difficult, it's quite a flexible way to make money. But in this season of life, in this particular term that we're in right now, this 10-week chunk of time, I have some other things going on that are just a lot of work, and I'm having to say no to things that I would normally be really inclined to say yes to, but I'm saying no. And I'm really actually thankful that I'm saying no, because it's helping me get some perspective. I said no to 4 things in kind of growing my business. So I'm doing a course right now, which is taking up like the extra time that I have plus some. So I'm doing this course on digital marketing because I have a homeschool and life admin planner that I've created that I'm super excited about, and I want to know how to get it out there into people's hands, because I really think that it would be a blessing to homeschooling moms, especially to homeschooling moms who are trying to side hustle and do things on the side. It's full of resources. I'm pumped about getting it out there, but I don't know how to do that. I've never taken a marketing class. I don't know how to do any of that. So I'm trying to do my research and figure this out, but I also signed up for a course to kind of walk me through the process of how to launch this product. So I'm shooting for a launch date of sometime in July, so that it's in time for kind of the start of the school year in the Northern Hemisphere. But I have like this 8-week class that I'm doing, which is quite time intensive right now. So one of the things that they suggest you do in the class is that you join an accountability group. And I really want to do that because I'm the kind of person, I'm like, if I'm going to pay this money to do this class, I want to get the most out of it that I possibly can. But then when I'm I even reached out to a group of people that were starting an accountability group to say, hey, I'd love to participate. And then I just realized, you know what, like the timeline, I'm in New Zealand, they're in North America, the timelines of when it's going to work for them and when that would be in my day and my time with my kids, it's going to be like on a Saturday morning. My Saturdays are pretty sacred. Like we as a family really try to practice a Sabbath on Saturday. And so I just had to send the awkward email that was, no, I'm sorry, I can't actually, I overcommitted. I can't be a part of this. I don't like sending those emails. I like to be somebody that if I say yes, I follow through with it. But in this case, I would rather say no sooner rather than later if I realize I've overcommitted, so that they can move on and I don't have to feel the guilt of that like weighing over me. So I said no to the accountability group. Also on the business side of things, I have been working really hard to get 2 blog posts per week up and live since the beginning of the year. And I'm really proud of myself for having gotten there, because it's been a 3-year process to even get to that level of consistency in posting. But with doing this course right now, I just am not able to continue making that happen. What was happening is I was realizing I was staying up later and later and later, and my alarm was going off earlier and earlier. And before I get sick, or before I have, just a string of really tough days where I'm sleep deprived and tired and grumpy with my kids, I just realized, you know what? I cannot show up and be the mom that I want to be, the homeschooler that I want to be, the patient person that I want to be. And I'm not the most patient person anyhow, but just I'm shooting towards it. I'm working towards it. I can't roll with the punches and be flexible when I'm just tired all the time. And when my brain is so like mentally engaged in trying to get these blog posts written and done and strategizing. When am I going to take pictures and when am I going to make that recipe and all of that. So I told myself, you know what? We're backing down to 1 blog post per week, not per month. Hopefully we'll be able to make 1 per week. And that's just going to have to be it for this kind of the rest of this school term, for the rest of these weeks that I'm working on this course, because my time is going towards the course. And it will mean that my business slows down a bit. It will mean that I'm not getting as much content out there. But I would rather slow down or rest and be able to keep going than be burning myself out and have to take a much longer, like necessary rest to recover my family's culture, my family's relationships, my health, whatever the case might be. Also on the business side of things, growth for my business, I have been feeling like I really need to get on top of trying to do some social media, because I don't do currently like any social media around the blog. I don't actually do hardly any social media for myself personally. So I feel like, I need to start posting on Instagram regularly. I need to have a presence. I need to build some followers, because when I launch this homeschool planner, that's obviously one of the ways that I would be able to market it to people. But it's just not worth my mental energy and my time. And I'm going to have to figure out how to do it, like kind of learn a strategy of how to do it and figure out my system for doing it. And again, in this particular season, while I'm taking this course, it's just not going to work. So that is also a no for now. I will probably come back to it later. Maybe not at the end of the course. It might not be till like after I launch the planner this year. I'm sure I'll go back and make revisions, and then I'll launch it again next year. And it might not be more till like a next year focus thing. And then the last thing I said no to, the fourth in my business category, there was the 2 in the money making category, 4 in the business category. The last thing I said no to was trying to finish this course on the faster track of timelines that they recommend. I really wanted to get it done in that amount of time, but again, staying up late, getting up early, feeling exhausted, it's just not worth it. Like, I need to maintain a level of rest in order to be the kind of mom that I want to be. And I know that about myself. And so I have said, nope, I'm not going to try to get it done in the faster track. I am on track to get it done in the slower track, but I'm even giving myself grace if I need to add another week or 2 onto the end of that. That's going to be okay. Let's see. In kind of the personal life side of things, I was doing a really good job of working out. Like 3 strength training workouts per week was my goal, and 3 days of hitting 10,000 steps. Just because I'm still postpartum, I'm trying to, get my strength back, make sure that I'm intentional about, my health, getting my muscle tone back. And I just, I'm close to a year after having our 4th baby. And I would love to have more kids, but I always try to get back into kind of optimal health, back to sort of what feels like my healthy normal before I get pregnant again. And so, I've been trying to be really diligent about that for the last 4, 5, 6 months or so. And again, in this season, I just was staying up late to walk the driveway so that I could get my 10,000 steps in. And my husband's like, you are a little bit crazy, Danny. I am 100% an upholder, like Gretchen Rubin's 4 Tendencies, the upholder. And he will look at me and say you're tightening, you're getting obsessive with something, and it's becoming this tightening thing. And it so is true. It happens to me. So, I said no to that. I said no to my goals of, trying to get 6 physical exercise movement days in per week. I am still walking. I chase the kids around. I go on walks with the kids. I'm still trying to be really consistent with doing 1 strength training per week, and going for 1 longer walk myself per week. Otherwise, it's just, with the kids and doing hikes and stuff. But we are a relatively active family. We do a lot of walks. So it's not like I'm feeling like my health is just totally tanking here. It's just taking a step back from the intensity of that. So that was something else I said no to. The other thing kind of in the personal area, or things that I'd committed to that I'm trying to kind of back down, I'm cooking for my husband's workplace, is a Christian ministry, and I'm cooking there twice a week, 2 afternoons a week. And in my cooking times, I'm making dinner for that night for the crew. So the students that are involved in the course and the staff, so about 40 people per night. So I'm cooking for about 40 people for dinner that night, and then for lunch the next day at the same time. And then I'm also making a meal for the weekend. And then the next day I cook, I do the same thing, dinner that night, lunch the next day, and a dessert for that night. So I don't do it by myself. I have a crew of students that are working with me, but logistically and mentally, there's a lot of work on the upfront side of things to make a plan, make the meal plan, go down and evaluate the pantry and figure out what's there that needs to be used up, check the freezers, that sort of thing, repurpose leftovers, that kind of stuff. And then make a meal order and write out directions so that I don't have to micromanage for all the students that are working with me, my work crew. I can kind of give them pieces of paper and let them be a little bit more released so I can troubleshoot, but then it's not things getting bottled up with me having to micromanage everything. So all of that to say, I've been doing that for the last 5 weeks, and it's simultaneously with this course. The course started and I started doing this cooking thing at the base all at the same time, the same week. And it is a lot. It's just been so much mental work. And so I communicated to the leadership and just said, hey, I don't think that this is the healthiest thing for me. I would like to take one of these things off my plate. Either outsource the dessert, we buy pre-made dessert, or outsource one of the meals for like the weekend, or outsource a lunch or something. Like I need to minimize this. So I said no. This was a bit of an experiment. They were kind of saying like, hey, we want to try this. Is this going to work? And I have communicated and said, no, it's not working. We need to change something. And then lastly, I have said no to 2 things for my kids. And that's always one of the hardest no's, because I realize that when I make decisions and overcrowd my schedule, it also means that my children don't always get as many opportunities. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to be more diligent about saying no to the things that, my own things, so that I can have a balance and say yes to some of their things. But the girls really wanted to do Irish dancing lessons this term, again, starting the same week as all of these other things, as the course and as me cooking for the base. And we went to a free lesson. They had a blast. They have friends in the class. They were gonna be it was gonna be like, childhood dreams. And I was like, we can make this work. We can make this work. Despite the fact that it was going to be really logistically challenging, because my husband needs the car like that night to go to a long-standing commitment that he has. Anyhow, then we sat in traffic for an hour and 20 minutes on our way home from dance lessons, and it should have been a 15-minute drive. And our baby cried for an hour of that time. My 10-month-old cried for an hour of that time because he was just over it. Like, he was so over the car seat, over being stuck in it. And then the toddler started yelling at the baby about every, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minute intervals. No, stop crying. You're too loud. After the first 20 minutes of the baby crying. So anyhow, by the time we got home that night, I think I was twitching because I was just like overstimulated, and the girls were like, Mom, that was terrible. And I walked in the door, tossed the keys to my husband because he was late going to where he needed to go because I was late getting back. And I started, pulling dinner out, and I just looked at the girls and I said, I am so sorry, girls, but I don't think we can make this work this term. Like, we've got to shuffle some things around. And so my husband is going to be getting out of his longstanding commitment, and then he will be able to, at the end of this term, and then he will be able to help me with shuffling kids around, or staying home with the little boys so that I can take the girls, because I don't mind being in traffic, and the girls are fine in traffic. It's just having the little ones in traffic also is pretty, it's just not pleasant. So we said no to Irish dancing this term, planning to pick it up next term, but not this term. And then the last thing that I said no to, this is number 10, if you're keeping track. The last thing I said no to was, my goal at the beginning of the year is always to get through 4 lessons per week with the kids, 4 math lessons and 4 language arts lessons. Because I usually kind of operate on a 4-day-a-week school schedule. So that's 1 lesson per day. And we don't actually have to get through that many lessons in order to finish their year-long curriculum in the amount of time that we do schooling here, both in our schedule, but also just in New Zealand schedule. And so then what I like is that gives me opportunities to kind of, do some field trips, be a little bit more flexible. And I really try to be diligent about getting those 4 lessons done per week at the beginning of the year, so we can sort of get our momentum going. And then I feel like, we can ease off, especially like the second half of the year. But with me doing this course and working at the base and all of the other things that are going on here, trying to launch this planner, trying to, keep the blog going, I just decided for the rest of this term, the rest of this 10-week term, we are going to be doing 3 lessons per week. And that is going to be what we try to tackle. And if that is all we can do, that is fine. Like, we will have time to make up those lessons. We will not fall behind in our schooling, and for the year, it's gonna be okay. And again, that's something that, like, the tightening side of things, the side of me that wants to be like, this is what we made the plan for, and this is what we will execute, wants to do that. But I am, again, trying to just yield a little bit more to the season and recognize that we have a lot on our plate right now. I have a lot on my plate, and I'm going to need to say no to some things in order to say a hearty, enthusiastic, dedicated yes in some other areas. And then when that closes down, because I know it's just for a season, when that finishes up, then I can reevaluate and pull some of these other things back in. So anyhow, those are the 10 things that I am saying no to or have said no to in the last month. I would love to hear from you. Drop it in the comments below. What have you said no to? What is it that you are downsizing? You can leave me a long comment. I will read it. I love reading long comments. Tell me the whole story. I will respond because I want you to know, if you are a mom that feels like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on my plate, I want you to know, like, you are not alone. You are doing a good job. You are trying to show up in so many areas, and I know how challenging that is. And you are capable of doing everything that God has designed you to do. And you may need to say no to some things, and saying no is okay. And you can have all of the efforts and the goals and the movement forward while also recognizing there are times to yield and times to reevaluate. And that is okay. It's okay to be human. It is okay to have grace with yourself. It is okay to show some flexibility towards yourself. And it's okay to go through different seasons of life. And I'm right there with you doing it and learning how to do this, hopefully in a grace-filled, positive, patient, loving, full of the fruits of the Spirit kind of way. So blessings to you, friend. Have a wonderful day. I would love to hear from you below, but if not, thank you for being here. Thanks for spending time in my unphotogenic kitchen with me, and I will talk to you next time.